an introduction to LSTM so you can meet our team here, and for you to ask us any questions about our tender specification. You can also follow them up in writing, and then we'll share all the answers that we've given, all the questions and all the answers that we've given today. We'll share that out with all the tenderers that have expressed an interest in this project. If it's okay, I'm just going to record this just because it makes it a bit easier to type up the questions and stuff later. So I'm just going to start the recording now, if that's okay with everyone. Okay. So just a quick introduction to our panel members. I'm not going to make them all introduce themselves, but just to give you a bit of information as to who'll be reading your bids. So it'll be myself, and I am Liz Wilson. I'm the head of procurement at LSTM, and I will be joined from my colleagues from the shipping team, Matt Hanlon, Keith Steen, and Samuel Permanent. They will be the main contacts that you'll have within Liverpool. We'll also be joined on the panel by Stanford Youssef and Nancy Bateau from our Malawi team. So they'll be your contacts. If you're successful, they'll be our contacts receiving the shipments in our Malawi organisation. And then we've also got Kathy Waldron and Helen Irving and Tracy Seddon, who'll be joining us from LSTM Liverpool, and they do quite ad hoc project specific shipments that might be a little bit more unique to a little bit more specialist destinations, and they're joining us on the panel as well. So it is quite a big panel who are reading the bids, but we just need to, because we do have quite varied requirements at LSTM, there are quite a few people involved in making sure we get the right company. Okay, so just a quick mention about the Delta sourcing portal. You've obviously all used it because you've managed to get in, download the documents and express an interest to this meeting. So everything that happens from now on in terms of the tender should be on that Delta portal. If you've got questions, please use the clarifications, the messaging function for us. You can send them in there. When we've got updates for you, we'll send them through that portal, so keep an eye out. And most importantly, you need to use it to upload your response. There is a questionnaire that you need to fill out. There are a few sections that are mandatory. We're going to need you to fill out your supplier information, the references, and your contact information. And then there's two sections for each lot. One section for each lot. And depending on which lot you're bidding for, we'll need you to complete that section of the questionnaire. I hope that's relatively clear and relatively straightforward. There is an option in the questionnaire for you to upload additional documents, and that's fine. Just please be mindful that we've got to read them all, so make sure that they're tailored to the question that we've asked. And please don't just send us standard brochures and things. We do want to stick to kind of the specifics that we've asked for. So just a recap on the timescales. We published the notice at the end of March, and obviously today we've got our Q&A. The return of the submissions for you, the big date is the 4th of May. I would suggest that any clarification questions that you've got, you get into us at least a week before to give us time to answer them. Obviously, we've got the bank holiday thrown in there as well, so be mindful of that losing that Monday. We'd ask you to kind of hold the 25th of May. That's when we're intending on doing some supplier interviews. We'll likely shortlist and then perhaps interview, perhaps visit. It depends on what we get back in the tender, but that's the date that we've put aside for that. We'll be wanting to make a decision early June, and then jump straight into the contract as soon as we can after that date. Right, I'm going to stop talking then and hand over to you guys. If you want to raise your hand, and then I will come to you in turn, and you can ask whatever you want, and we'll do our best to answer. And if we can't answer today, then we'll get back to you and give you that answer when we publish all the questions. Don't be shy. Thank you, Debbie. Someone's always got to go first.
Sorry, I was on mute there. Liz, thank you. Can I just ask, we had actually submitted some clarification questions earlier on, but we haven't had any responses yet. Was there a reason for that? Were you waiting for today?
Yes, we were waiting for today. So as after today, we'll publish all the questions that we've had, and just do it in one batch.
Okay, so the questions that we've already put forward have been answered, so I don't need to ask them now. That's what I'm trying to get to. Okay,
hopefully, lovely. Yes.
Yeah, that's fine. I've submitted the questions I need an answer on for now. So until we see some responses, I haven't got any further questions.
Okay, thank you. Neil Furlong, you were next.
Yeah, just to clarify on that as well, we sent some questions. The links that are supplied with the form with all the information on didn't appear to be working, and I was just wondering whether or not we'd be provided more information regarding the temperatures for the ambient shipments, the commodities of what's being shipped, the weights and dimensions and things like that. Just examples of the shipments that you're going to be sending out.
So we did put some averages in the tender documents. Have you seen those?
I couldn't open any links. There was nothing that I could see, to be fair.
So have you not read the tender documents at all?
Yeah, I read the full notice, but I couldn't see anything on there.
So there's a Word document called Invitation to Tender. Have you not managed to get that? I think we might have to.
I couldn't get that, no.
Okay. So what we'll do then is I'll contact you after this, and we'll just walk you through getting it on Delta.
Yes, if that's okay. I did send an email to say I was unable to open it, but if you could walk us through that, that'd be fantastic.
No problem.
Cheers, thank you.
Bill Fortune, you were next. You're still on mute, Bill.
Oh, sorry. Good morning, everybody. Is that better?
That's better, thank you.
Can you hear me now?
We can.
Hear me now, yes. You may or may not be aware, but AWR in a previous life have had experience with the Liverpool unit and with their shipments. We've handled it previously elsewhere, and I just wanted to check: is it still a similar setup where basically it starts off with a telephone call, the goods are collected and then consolidated in the warehouse, and then they get palletized onto cartons, labeled, shrink wrapped, and then held until the end of the month or until the shipment goes, and then it goes as one shipment and it flies via Manchester, Dubai into Blantyre. Is that still the routing?
Yes. Yes, it is. I don't know if Matt wants to come in and add any other information.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same setup, Bill.
It's not changed then, Matt, really, because obviously that's what we're looking to put our rates in against, if you like. So as I say, we're quite experienced. We've got people here that have handled it in the past, so we've got a good understanding of what your requirements are and how things work. And I just wanted to check really to see if that's still the case.
Yeah, I mean, for all the other people on the phone call, the bulk of the Malawi shipments will be loose parcels that we prepare ourselves, anywhere from half a kilo up to sometimes 50 kilos plus. We don't have pallet facilities ourselves, so all our parceling is loose, and it's just we need a regular collection of those items, and we normally ship monthly to Malawi and others. So that's what would be for the ambient shipments.
So you need those pallets. Sorry to jump in. So they're collect loose, and then you need a service that palletizes them for you.
Correct. Yeah, they need to
Okay.
be prepared for freight. Yeah.
May I also ask, Matt, is the shipment still only up to Malawi airport and an agent's handled from then on, or has that changed since?
Yeah, it'll still be into either Blantyre or Lilongwe, dependent
Cool.
on
No
obviously
problem.
what flights are available.
No problem.
Thanks, Matt. Thank you.
Can I just add something that's to broaden the scope a little bit, that's the Malawi shipment side of things, but what we've also trying to incorporate is the other parts of shipments from LSTM. So that's our regular bread and butter shipment to Malawi, but there might be some ad hoc ones to different countries. So as to what countries they might be, we literally work with every country in the world, so we're a little bit of a unique position there. So that's the bread and butter of the Malawi shipments, but there could be other ones to other parts.
Just yeah, that's fine. So the procedure would still be the same. Obviously, the cars would be collected loose, palletized,
exactly.
wrapped, marked, and freighted to their destination. Yes.
Yeah, that will all be the same. The destination would just be the difference.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Sorry. Also, one more question on my end. Is this still include the personal effect shipments for any of the doctors or graduates going to Malawi for the studies as well? Is that also included?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't include the personal freight.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I think Andrew Holloway was next. You're on mute, Andrew.
I'm off it now. Thank you. On those larger shipments to Malawi, the weekly ones, the commodity wise of what's being shipped, is it says equipment effectively, so there's no actual kind of clinical trial supplies or samples or pharmaceuticals going in those larger shipments.
The ambient shipments will contain no perishable items such as medicines or samples.
Sure.
But the ambient shipments will include medical equipment and consumables, sometimes larger equipment such as freezers, and other laboratory equipment.
Perfect. And the pallets that you guys configure how much you're shipping, is that left to the supplier? Is that left to the forwarder at the moment? In terms of they supply the pallet? Is that how it works at the moment?
Yeah, we need the forwarder to obviously collect and palletize the items for us.
Okay. Makes sense.
We provide the packing list and the weights to you guys of each individual box.
I'm just thinking, obviously, I don't think we haven't priced this before, so I'm assuming if we price this with different scenarios for different number of pallets, because that could vary from week to week, I guess.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Okay. All right, perfect. Thank you.
Debbie, you've got your hand up again. Is that a new question?
My hand, I don't know how to get it down because we don't use Teams. So if you can put my hand down for me, Liz, that would be nice.
I've put your hand down for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Actually, while I'm speaking, just a quick question. In parts of the ITT, it was alluded to the fact that this may be a framework, and I wondered if you indeed meant it to be a framework, because in other parts it suggested it might be a single supplier for each lot.
We think it's going to end up being a framework, but we're not totally fixed on that. I think if there's one supplier that's able to demonstrate to us that they've got enough backup, enough availability, enough resources, then we'd be willing to award single supply. But we're anticipating that we'll probably award to maybe 1 or 2 suppliers on each lot.
Right. Okay. Okay. That's less of an interest to us. We are capable, and yeah. So thank you for clarifying that. I'm not pulling ourselves out at this stage, Liz. I'm just
That's okay.
talking it out.
I think that's the purpose of this call, really, is because
Yeah.
I don't want to waste your time preparing a bid if
Yeah.
it's not what you want. The other side, you know, so that's the idea of this call, is
Yeah.
for you to get to know us a bit more, to check
Yeah.
that it is going to be a good fit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Andrew Holloway, you got your hand up again.
Yeah, sorry, just another question on the perishable and the 2 to 8 and the frozen shipments, the perishable hazardous. I'm a colleague of mine is who you guys initially contacted, so his details are in the portal. If I go into the portal, will there be info on dimensions or kind of some guesstimates of what each of those shipments would look like? So number of vials, amount of product, dimension, because obviously in the invitation to tender document, it's got a weight, so around 5 kilos. But would there be anything of any additional info around dimensions?
I don't think we've put that in because it varies so much.
Okay.
Matt, is that right? We just put the weights in, didn't we, and an estimate number of parcels that we have per month.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of shipping perishable items, we ship in standardized boxes which are provided by the shipper. So they would be like the standardized GDIs, type size boxes.
Would you be able to provide, for the sake of this, so that we can match it to packaging on those? Would you be able to provide the dimensions to those standardized boxes, and then we can match that accordingly to what temperature control packaging we could provide around it?
Yeah, that's no
Please.
problem.
Thank you. That'd be brilliant. Thanks for that.
I did have another hand, but it's now gone. So I don't know if that person still wants to ask a question. Feel free. I think it was Imshad. Was it Imshad? Is that right? Is that correct? Sorry if I've pronounced that wrong.
That's right. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. My question was, I believe you want to send 12 containers a year, so 1 every month. Is it going to be, would you be wanting your individual containers dedicated just to you, or could we mix them with our containers as well? And does it have to be once a month, or could we send it with weekly containers, or if we have other containers going there to Blantyre?
We would generally prefer air freight, to be honest. Container freight would be mainly for larger items.
Okay. So it's air freight, and then would it be your dedicated? So air freight, if it was containers for your fridge freezers, for example, would you want that air freighted as well?
It depends on the size of the freezers. Obviously, some of the equipment is too tall for aircraft sometimes, so if container shipments is preferable.
So would that be then bespoke at the time, or would we have to make sure the cost is covered within that?
Yeah, it'd be easier to quote on the individual items in that case, to give us the option whether air freight or sea freight was the best option.
Fantastic, Matt. Thank you very much for
that. Okay. Have you got any other questions? Have we got Debbie? Have you got your hand up again?
I've got my hand up again, Liz. Thank you. Liz, I'm very conscious that there's people on this call that don't appear to have accessed the tender documentation yet. And I'm also aware that, having looked at the tender documentation, there's a fair amount of information that's been asked. It's an extensive response that's required. And I am looking also at the deadline that you have got there of early May, and I'm asking in advance because I'm sure you'll get these questions. What's the consideration that you may give to extending the response deadline?
We've not been asked yet. I think if
No.
you're officially asking, we'll take it away as a panel and we'll talk about whether we can extend
Yes.
it if it's a common theme that everybody wants additional time. We've just gone on the timeframes for the public contract regulations, so we've allowed a 30-day advertising period. But if people feel like they need a bit longer, then we can take that under consideration.
That's wonderful. Yes, if I could have that as an official request then, because as you're aware from my earlier comments that we're awaiting some response to clarification questions and we need to make a decision based on those answers whether we respond. We're very interested in the opportunity, but there are considerations, internal considerations for a go or a no-go within our organisation. And once we receive the responses to our CQs, then we are leaving ourselves quite short in terms of giving you considered and comprehensive responses to your questions in the ITT.
Okay, no worries. We'll get the answers out as soon as we can after today.
Thank you very much, Liz. That's for me for now.
Okay, you've all gone very quiet now. So is there anybody else who wants to ask anything while we're on the call? Okay, well, that's super. Thanks very much for your time today. I hope it's been useful. We will follow up hopefully today, possibly tomorrow, with all these questions. Oh, sorry, Andrew. And Nancy as well.
Last really quick one, because my colleague, it's his he's given me his login details to get into the portal. If I use his, can I then reset them as my email address and a password?
Yeah, I believe you can go in as a company and then set up multiple people so that you're still linked.
Right,
yep.
Sorry about that.
If you need help with that, just use the Delta chat function and one of the guys on the help desk will help you out with it.
Okay, thank you.
And Nancy. Nancy, did you want to add anything? If you're talking, I think you're still on mute.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. You can hear me now? Hello?
Hi, Nancy, we can hear you.
Yeah. Okay, good. Okay. Sorry, I joined in late, so I don't know, maybe you've talked about it already, but I just wanted to point out to the suppliers that what we are looking in, especially here in Malawi, we want end-to-end visibility. So you should be able to provide us access to your systems so that we can easily track, we can easily see where the shipments are. So you should be ready to provide us with that kind of visibility. So it's really important to us when we are tracking the shipments. So that was just my plea to you, all the suppliers. Thank you.
That's really useful. Thank you, Nancy. So I think we have asked a couple of questions on tracking and visibility. So if you can keep Nancy's comments in mind when you're answering them, because obviously she's the end user who will be receipting the parcels at the other end. Okay. So thanks, everybody. And if you've got other questions before the deadline, then just drop them through the portal and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you. Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
I know.
Daniel Turner
is now exiting.